So this is an intermezzo from Brahms' late piano works, these opus 116 to 119. It's a collection of more introspective piano pieces. It's not as readily accessible as the famous one in A major, opus 118 number 2, but if you dig into it, it's so rich, like high density of musical content. So that's what we'll do in this video. So it has this kind of chorale texture of changing harmony on every quarter note, but at the same time it's like a slow dance in triple time, like a waltz or like a noble procession. So a lot of things going on. And if we look at the melody, it's actually two melodies playing a duet at the same time. We have the top voice and the alto voice. At the same time. So it's a real challenge with this piece to get both of these melodies to be out there in a nice balance with everything else as well. So the second phrase, then the two melodies, they reverse the position. So now the top voice does this eighth notes movement, which is the more melodic, interesting, and then the alto is down there. But like perfect voice leading. So a lot of the harmony that appears on the quarter notes comes from these individual voices following their line in the voice leading. So a lot like Bach in that aspect. And the bass, octaves, deep octaves, nice sound. I'm struggling every time. I think you relate if you play this. How are you supposed to get both these melodies in the one hand? Anyway, let's look at the music a bit. Okay, so harmony, if you look at every chord, you can easily get to bog down, so I won't do that. But these phrases, it's clear two-bar phrases. The first one is in E major. So we get all these chromatic suspensions and passing note and yeah, a lot of chromatics. But we end firmly in E major. This nice appoggiatura. Double appoggiatura. And then the next phrase starts in E major. Ends in B major, which is a dominant. So okay, there's some harmonic structure here. And the chromaticism is mostly on the surface. Third phrase. More like the first phrase, but higher. Also clearly in F sharp minor, which is it's a minor second scale degree in E major. And then for the fourth phrase, it's closing, like a consequential phrase in the musical sentence or whatever. So it's going to C sharp minor harmonically, which is 6 in E major, but in the very last minute it flips to major instead. So setting up for the continuation. Sostenuto, slow down here. It's like establish this, whatever it is, nostalgic waltz, some life, but then kind of take a sit back and think. Now for the second idea. Also kind of get interrupted in the end with the sostenuto and diminished chord. But here's like the major issue with this piece I'm going to talk about for some time, because it's in Brahms in general, and it's in this place and even more in the middle section, because Brahms loves to play with the meter and the rhythmic placement. So what he writes is keep the triple time and then as an upbeat. So if I really try to feel it as it's written, just rhythmically, it's an upbeat, exaggerating now. This is the triple time feel, but I think that's very unnatural way to play it and to feel it. And this comes from a place where I feel that the essence of the music is not the score, but the actual sounds that comes from when you're playing the music, when it comes alive. I mean, that's not a controversial position. That's more true than the opposite, I think. The score is more a great tool for composing and learning and understanding, but we need to have the actual musical sounds as the primary focus when we're performing and like engaging with music, I think. So if I remove the music and try to listen to this, can you feel the triple time, or do you feel it in another way if I play the same place? So how I feel it, it's a clear pattern in 2. So it's like you switch the meter to a 2/4. So for a couple of reasons, and this is a bit controversial maybe to say like that, but go wild in the comments if you like. So the reason for this is that, first of all, we have this fermata. We completely ends the pulse, and so we start over with the pulse. So then when it's an upbeat, it's kind of hard to play an upbeat if it's not clear that the beat is coming. And when you play this, we have this nice horn fifth, C sharp major, G sharp, C sharp, so dominant tonic. It repeats with a C sharp, so that's like the first indication of a pattern in 2. So like it's a 1, 1. So I think I'll show the beats what I played there, how I kind of feel it more than the triple time. So it's for a couple of like small reasons that come together. We have this clear downbeat. So this is a downbeat in how Brahms write it, and it's very natural to feel it as a downbeat. Nice melodic. And then it starts over again with the C sharp, which makes it feel like a pattern in 2 retroactively, because it's very regular. Okay, I think I talked enough about that for now. We move on. It's a bit controversial, I know. And yeah, one final thing. Obviously, it shouldn't be overemphasized, the feeling in 2 either, because it's not what's written. It's like Brahms is going for some kind of veiled rhythmic perspective of it. So you can be a little bit connected to both ways. It's a paradox, but anyway. Okay, we calm down. Now we're back in a clear triple time again with the material from the first phrase. New direction here. So this is again, I feel it as a clear downbeat here, the E major, so that would make it into like a bar of 4 beats before that. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Then it's very regular 2 beats of 3 there. Okay, going back to this return of the first motive idea. This is a genius move by Brahms in the structural sense, because it really much feels like a return of the melody from the very beginning when it comes, the same form, but it's actually not. So in the beginning we have this structure of 4 phrases. It's 1, 2, 3, and then the 4th is the closing. So when it comes back, he jumps in the second phrase. So we get the second and the third phrase kind of recast as the first and the second phrase in this structure. So it's a slight difference in nuance in the structural function of the phrases. It's the same idea is also in another piece, Chopin's Prelude in C minor. I've done an analysis and explained how it's in that piece, or you can check out. here we feel it as the start again of the same phrase, but it's actually, it jumps in at the second phrase. So like here it has a clear feel of a first phrase, but in the actual start of the piece it starts like this. And now, because here that phrase has kind of more of an answering quality to it, but now it's recast as the primary statement. That's the genius. Now this, the second or the third, the F sharp minor, this has more of a, it's crescendo, it grows, and with like a 1, 2, 3 takeoff structure here, we continue. It's crunchy chromatic. It's a E7 going to F7, diminished, sostenuto again. Transition to something else with this unstable chord, hinting of the minor, and then we enter the middle section. And before I start to talk about the meter here, gonna mention the important thing about this music, because this middle section is what drew me to this piece in the first place. And the first section is a little bit nostalgic, but still has a lot of ideas and life and drive, even if it kind of thinks twice every time and stops. There's a lot of life to it. But then you get to this middle section, and it's like, it's so sad. Like a black hole opens up underneath you of hopelessness, and you just sucked in, you struggle a bit, but nothing you can do. It's profoundly sad for me. So something like this. Firmly rooted in G sharp minor. And then after the fermata, it goes back to the first idea with like a recapitulation. So it's like he's saying, okay, there is profound sadness here, but now is not the time to be sad. We don't need to be that sad for the rest of the piece. Whatever this is, it's only like a short intermission with the sadness. Okay, the meter part of this, again, it's written in 3, but it's impossible to feel it in 3, the way it's written, I think. Let me do it to exaggerate once. I can't even do it because, yeah, it's very unnatural because it's such a clear pattern of 2 repeating. The texture is in 2 every time and the melody is in 2. So at some points you can kind of switch a little bit, maybe some beats are a bit unclear, but especially when it repeats here. So I feel it as a downbeat here. Because then it's so regular, and it even goes evenly in 4, so you can say it's in 4. And also with the texture, so the sadness comes from this, is everything is descending. It's in minor, and the melody is descending, and the texture is descending, so it only gets darker. And then it reaches back up when we get to the dominant, reaches back up. And which note is this on the dominant? It's the flat 9, most tense melodic note. Back to the minor. Again, same note but an octave lower, and then repeat the melody an octave lower. Here the texture has switched, so the texture is going up instead, and it's again another challenge with this to get the melody there and the texture in this low register, very hard to do. Because like the texture, they can have some melodic quality too. It's not only like super soft notes, because in Brahms every note matters all the time. So you can play it out, but you shouldn't play it out too much because then you drown out the melody. That's the challenge. Okay, we reach back up here. And now he mixes up the two things, the downward and the upward, into a combination. But like really insisting on this G sharp. And very ominous, this quadruple octave. Okay, we get the A section back here. The same until here at the beginning, but now we take a new turn again. But again, of course, the sostenuto don't get too much ideas of living the life. We have to think back and reflect. And then we remember the profound sadness, and we get an echo of the middle section, but it's kind of recast in a transformative way, and super nice chords, very tense. So it resolves to the major instead, with some very lush extended cadential progression. So again, a lot of tension in the first ones. It's +5. But then the bass finds the B, and the B is the dominant, and we get this. So in Swedish we have a word that's smörigt, it means buttery, and it means like over the top, too smooth and like too much in a way. But with Brahms it's never too much, it's always controlled in the end, but it's, you know, to the broader side of how you do an extended cadence. So B7 is the cadence, and we have all these other notes that's going around it. So the final, it's a triple appoggiatura. So this is the B7, and it's kind of, you can say, a suspension of a C sharp minor, but they're all resolving. And with a, yeah, so it's like a 13 chord, I think. And finally the E, and one last suspension, the sus4. Resolving. And for the final chord, I realized I was struggling to get it like nice soft arpeggio, but I discovered that it's, if you need to use movement in the hand a lot. like really angle the hand for these notes. Kind of a weird position you shouldn't use anywhere else, but in this chord it works, I think. Also, if you place the first note here together and the last, it's like a tasteful. It's still hard to do, but yeah. Ends very calmly. Amazing piece, has so much, as I said, the high density of musical content for a short time. It just, yeah, Brahms at his best in his late stage in life, sitting on his chamber writing these pieces. You can play them for a lifetime, I think. Thanks for watching Sonata Secrets, and a special Patreon shout out to my Patreon sponsor Jay Perlman.